Hello everyone. About 6 months ago, I was interviewing candidates for the position of Director of Social Media for my company. One of the persons that I spoke to was a lovely young lady about 24 years old. And during our conversation, her cell phone went off. And she took the call, to my amazement. And it was a text message. And she said, "Excuse me for a minute while I answer this." And she answered the text message, and then we went back to the interview. Now, the interview lasted about another 30 seconds before I concluded the interview and thanked her for coming in, and that I would get back to her if she would be considered for the position. Unfortunately, this might be a sign of the times. From her standpoint, she had absolutely no problem whatsoever in taking that call. Now, let's take a little bit closer look at some of the challenges as cell phones are presenting in our society. We all know some humorous stories as well as some horror stories of when cell phones have gone off at inappropriate times. Let's take a look at just a few images that tell the story. Here's an image of a job candidate taking a cell phone break during an interview. Now, here's another one of friends having coffee. And here's one of a day at the beach. Another great picture of cheering on your team, followed by having dinner out with your friends, or out on an intimate date, or perhaps having a conversation with your BFF. And finally, here's a visit to a museum. I actually got one more good one for you. And here's a picture of 4 girls enjoying the sights. Now, perhaps one of our greatest minds of all time had some insight into what is occurring today. And here is a direct quotation from Albert Einstein. "I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots." Now, those are great images, and we can all laugh at them, but perhaps they tell a greater story. Let me add one more experience to this list of images. Just last night, I visited with friends for a cocktail hour, and we spent about an hour together with a good friend of mine and his 22-year-old son. Now, we sat around the kitchen counter having conversation. And during that 1 hour period of time, the son was on his cell phone texting and surfing on his cell phone. During that entire period, we never made eye-to-eye contact. And at one point, I said to him and asked him about his cell phone usage, and had a discussion with him on cell phone communications, and he just said, "Well, go ahead, keep talking. I'm multitasking, and I'm listening to you." Now, I felt like I was talking to a brick wall. Now, I couldn't help but think that one of two things was occurring. Either, number one, I was extremely boring, or number two, he was extremely rude. But there's actually another third scenario. From his standpoint, in his world, there was nothing wrong with what he was doing. And he even commented that it was a generational thing, where with all of his friends and in all of his communications and environment, texting and using your cell phones during meetings or conversations was acceptable behavior. To them, it was not being perceived as being rude, but had now become the accepted norm. Now, from my standpoint, I'm very uncomfortable with that. And I think the way people are using their cell phones today is having a profound impact on our culture. And I would love your opinion, so after this video, I'd love to see your comments. But here are just a couple of other quick thoughts. Think about these key points. Number one, I think that the current use of cell phones shows a profound lack of professional courtesy. Number two, within the corporate environment, cell phone usage has had a profound impact on productivity. And number three, the error rate, not only within corporations, but within environments where errors can be critical factors, is having an impact. And so I would love to have your opinion on your experience with this as well. I unfortunately happen to agree with Albert Einstein in that our ability to have human interaction has been severely impacted by our technology. Now, to wrap things up, it's my hope that people will think twice about how and when and where they use cell phones. Kind of just a humorous story about my director of social media, who is shooting this video right now, is that in his experience, when they go out to dinner with friends, is they all put their cell phones in the middle of the table, and whoever feels compelled to answer their cell phone first is the one who is stuck with paying the dinner tab. What a great way to start to put in a stop to the abuse of cell phone use. So I would love your impact. I think it's impacting our culture in a negative way, and I would love your feedback. So thank you for joining us, and if any of you are ever seeking an executive level position and I can be of assistance, I would love the opportunity to talk with you. Take care, have a great day.